So I'm one of the rare guys that started right out of college, and I started on the floor of the CBOE as what was called a price reporter. 32 years later, and I'm still working for the CBOE. So I'm one of those rare guys that's had a career at a single location. So there is a career path within a single organization. I know it's rare, but it can be done. And I guess the lesson is to always look for opportunities. Okay, so with that being said, I thought how this presentation kind of folds into that is maybe show you what we're doing at CBOE, transitioning ourselves from relatively pretty much what we consider a domestic company to a global company. And by going through these 5 or 6 slides, I think what it'll be able to exemplify to you is some of the opportunities that are available in our community. So, publicly traded company, I guess they told me I had to have this slide up there. We'll move right by this one. All right, so high level, what's our strategy? We've taken a collaborate, create, and connect approach to turn ourselves from a generally considered to be a domestic company trading equity options on U.S. companies, index options on U.S. indexes, and now over the last 18 months or 2 years, I guess, we've kind of transitioned ourselves. We're looking much more globally, looking for opportunities, grow our business through partnerships, through collaboration with other exchanges. Some of it's done in-house. We've done some new product development in-house, but in all cases, it's all towards growing the pie, both through a global effort. So in addition to looking for global expansion, CBOE has always been known as an equity options exchange. And one of the things that we're working now on is expanding into other asset classes. Earlier this year, it's a product that we call the TY VIX. It's a volatility product tied to the CME's 10-year note options. Through a collaboration with CME, we're jointly marketing this product now. It's a slow starter, but it's brand new for us to be in this space. The other thing that we work on quite a bit at CBOE is something that we call benchmark indices. We create products using historical data, using our products. For example, our primary examples of that is something called the BXM. And then it also gives asset managers and other people, and portfolio managers, an opportunity to have a new benchmark that they can create strategies against. So those are the types of things we're doing all the time to promote our products and to bring new business. Okay, so here's kind of the view of where in 2014. As you can see from the map up here, we were pretty much a domestically focused company. We have a nice presence in Canada and in the US, and then you can see a smattering of presence throughout Europe and a little bit in Australia. Just straight from my budget perspective, about 85% of my budget was spent on domestic business development. We do have the one exception to that is I do have guys on the ground in London quite a bit and some of the other European cities, but for the most part, like I said, we're focused on the US. The one exception to that is, I don't know, it's hard to read this slide, but we have a conference that we've been doing for several years in the US called the Risk Management Conference, which talks about which is a 3-day conference that brings in mostly institutional investors and talks about using VIX and SPX and some of the products that we offer there. We've been doing that in the US for 30 years. We've been doing it in Europe for the last 5. So that kind of gives you a perspective of how we're just starting to break into that market. So now let's compare that to where we think we stand today in 2015. So through some new products, which I'm going to get into, and a greater business development effort across the globe, and some other collaborations that we have with some of the exchanges, again, which I'll touch on, we feel like we've really moved ourselves from just a company focused generally domestically to a company that's now spanning across the globe. So how are we doing that? First one is through products. So for years and years, CBOE has been known as the home of index options and, as I said, equity options. We've had licensing agreements with the S&P, with NASDAQ, with Dow, for years and years. We created the VIX based on the S&P 500, but in the last year, in 2015, actually in this calendar year, we licensed 2 new, we affiliated ourselves with 2 new licensors. The first one was MSCI. MSCI is a global index provider. They have Morgan Stanley in their name, but actually they're not really associated with Morgan Stanley. They're based in New York, but they have a global presence. They have over 1,000 employees across the world. Their 2 most known indexes are the EFA index, which stands for Europe, Australia, and the Far East, and the EEM, or the Emerging Markets Index, which cover all of the countries around the world that are considered developed or developing countries. We listed products on both of those indices earlier this year. And I have to tell you, it's a challenge. It's a challenge converting from we're used to trading in U.S. products and how U.S. products trade, how the dividend flows work, and trading in a single currency, and now introducing to our liquidity pool all these new components of an international index, different dividend streams, currency risk, different time zones, and we're working through it, and we've got a great liquidity provider and with a firm called IMC. That's our market maker in the product. I don't know if anybody is familiar with those guys, but they're doing a great job helping us build this product, but it's a brick-by-brick growth process, and we're going to get there. We're putting a lot of time and effort and resource into it, but we know that it's going to help us grow our footprint in this space. Next is one of the things we've done is created what we call the VIX network. VIX basically pulls the implied volatility out of the options in a given index. As news comes out and all of a sudden the market starts to drop, that's when you see spikes in and then as VIX. And then as the market kind of settles down, you'll see the VIX come down. We have options and futures on the CBOE and VIX. Between the two contracts, we trade north of 1 million contracts a day. It's clearly the major part of our story, along with our SPX complex, of where we would like to grow our business. But what we've done with the VIX is we've taken that methodology and we've licensed it to, as you can see, a long list of exchanges around the world. So what they can do is take that VIX calculation and apply it to their home market index, like the Hang Seng index in Hong Kong, or the Nikkei index in Japan, and they take that same calculation. Now we have a world standard on how people are measuring volatility. And it allows for two things. One, it allows for people in these home markets to trade VIX on their home markets. So if they want to hedge their volatility on one of these home markets, they can do it right on these exchanges. Last slide. This one is, I love this slide. This is just names of firms, but it shows where the exchanges are going. We're not just in a place where people come together and come onto a trading floor and match up orders and buyers and sellers. We're becoming global marketplaces. We're offering new products. We're offering new services, and we will continue to do that. So let's walk through these three technology offerings. The first one is an investment we made about a year ago called TradeLegs. And what TradeLegs does is it allows you as an investor to express a view. So you can put in, I think XYZ stock is going to go up this much, but I don't really want to lose more than this amount of money. I think the time horizon for that is about 6 months out. I think in that 6 months, the volatility is going to go up a little bit. So it takes you through a series of questions, and at the end of that series of questions, you just hit a button. And then what TradeLegs does is it takes that view just expressed to the system, and it will go through every possible option and stock combination that is available. Will present to you what it says is the optimal position to represent that view, or to present that view. You got TradeLegs doing that for us, and it's what they just did recently was announce create a portfolio capability. When we first started working with them, it was only single name views. Now you can put your entire portfolio in there, and it'll do a similar type of calculation. Next thing on here is a firm called Lowenthal. Exciting to us because we actually just closed on the investment an hour ago. The press release hit the street as I was walking over. We purchased a firm called Lowenthal based in California. It was a technology built by the market makers on the floor of the ARCA, or the P-Coast Exchange in San Francisco. And they just didn't think that there was there was a tool out there that they could use to help them use all the data that was available to them, historical data that was available to them, to help them create trade views. And one of the key components and why we were interested in them is a backtesting capability. So you can take a strategy and you can look back over time using their historical data tool, and it will tell you how that strategy would perform over your market environment. So does it do better in an up market? Does it do better in a down market? In a high volatility regime, a low volatility regime? And then you can, based on that tool, you can adjust your strategy accordingly. The last piece of technology on there is a joint venture we've created with a firm out of New York called Pulse. Pulse is a relatively straightforward execution management system designed specifically for trading options and particularly our options. So let me kind of walk you through the whole full circle of what we're talking about here. Trade legs, I've got a view. I can express that view. It'll give me a strategy idea. Go to Lowenthal, I can plug that strategy idea into the historical tool, the backtesting tool of Lowenthal. It'll tell me how that strategy would have done over time. And if I like the strategy, I can go to my Pulse terminal and I can execute it. So it's kind of what we call a soup to nuts technology offering that we just literally put this Lowenthal piece in today. So it's a sign of where we will be going with our business. We're constantly looking for new tools that we can bring into the fold of the CBOE to, again, help us grow our products and our customer base. And then the last thing on there, and then we'll be done, we recently announced a collaboration with the Singapore Exchange. And this one was not a technology offering or a technology deal, it's an education deal. So for many years, the CBOE has had the Options Institute. All of our interns went through the program. That was one of the things that they all thought was one of the better parts of our internship. But taking that expertise from the CBOE Options Institute and converting that over to, or transitioning that to the Singapore Exchange so that they'll use our tools to help grow their products or help grow their customers in the acceptance and the use of options is a way that we can help grow our products, we think, in the long term. Hopefully that gives you guys some idea, and everyone can walk out of here thinking, wow, maybe there is something for me to do in this industry. That was my goal here today. But it does give you an idea of how we're, again, transitioning ourselves from a domestic-based company to a global business.